This is Gene Adam, former lead singer of Iced Earth. Be sure to subscribe to Podcast and Stone, and don't forget, join our community on social media. Metal lives.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Iced Earth community, welcome to Podcast in Stone, the only podcast 100% dedicated to Ice Motherfucking Earth. Today, I am joined, as always, with the incomparable Chuck Hoskins. We're back. We're back from our distant traverse into world of real life, which sucks, by the way. Real life is not fun, but this is where we come to unwind, relax, and talk about our favourite fucking band on the planet, which is Iced Earth. Today, we are talking about their second live album, if you don't include festivals, which I don't really count that. But yeah, live in Ancient Kourion. We have a lot to talk about. Chuck, how you doing this
How you
evening?
doing, buddy?
I'm good, man.
It's a good day. It's good to be back.
I'm hyped to come back and do this, man. Like, it's been a long time. It's been about a month or so since our last episode, which was ironically titled "Catching Up," and we haven't catched up anything because we just disappeared for another month.
But we are going to be back on track. We're recording another episode actually tomorrow, which people will see later. But we're back.
Yeah,
we've got a lot of episodes to do. We've got Days of Purgatory. We got some Demons and Wizards coming up. We've got lots to talk about. And I still want to get you to do that tribute to the gods.
Yeah.
So
it's part of the discography, so it has to be spoke about.
Current events. Demons and Wizards is rolling right along over in Germany and whatnot. Have you seen any of the footage?
I've seen John with short hair.
He looks cool. He pulls it off well.
It's funny that in Demons and Wizards, he's the demon and Hans is the wizard. John is looking like a wizard right now. I can imagine him with a robe with a staff, Gandalf 2.0, but with a guitar and gallops.
Every time I see a Demons post or whatever, 75% of the posts are not about the record and it's John got a haircut. So yeah. It's cool. It's. I thought for sure he would still go with the bandana, but he didn't. He went hair out. So cool. So that's going now. Today is actually the release day of Demons and Wizards. You already got yours, correct?
Yeah, I got mine. Was it yesterday or the day before? I can't remember. Either Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember which day.
That's awesome.
I think it was yesterday. I don't know how long the video's been up for. It could have been yesterday. I don't know. I don't remember. So
the packaging looks amazing.
Oh my god! I did that video, quite a lengthy video, on the group about just the utmost. It feels like it's so premium. What you get for your money. I paid €25 each for those records. And it's money well spent. I've not even listened to them yet, And like I said on that video, to see the amount of talent, hard work, and just the desire to give the fans a product that when you unbox it, you're getting an experience. And we keep mentioning this before as well, Chuck, where why hasn't every vinyl release in 2019 come with a giant booklet? Because it's fucking awesome.
I love it.
And yeah,
I think the first one that I seen was Plagues, and I was like, "This is like a huge CD booklet." And
it's awesome.
And I love it. It's amazing. So I haven't actually even ordered mine yet. I'm waiting for US eBay to take off. So
if you want a little in-depth look at the packaging of the two Demons and Wizards reissues, there is a video on the podcast group where I go through the booklet and I give a good look. I think John and Hansi has put a video up as well going through the release, the different formats. So there's a couple of ways to check it out. If you don't want to be spoiled by the booklet or anything like that, I just would avoid all of it and just wait for your stuff to come. But Yeah, it's made me. I didn't care about the coloured versions. Now I do. I kind of want, each of them in a colour, because I can imagine they'll just look amazing. But I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna hold off until I have a bit of money. Yeah, they went ham. I think this is the most variants I've seen for a vinyl release when it concerns John Schaefer. There's
I don't know.
There's a lot.
Enter the Realm had 8. That's too many. That's too many. It's unfair. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, for me as well, current news. After 8 long months, 8 grueling months, I got my Purgatory bundle with the T-shirt. Signed.
Props to John, Gene, and Bill for going out of their way to take care of you.
Look, I know I've bitched and moaned through this whole deal, and I've given District Line shit, but I've got to give them props. They worked hard to correct the issue. They were working with me the whole way. They were working with me trying to solve it the whole way. So props to those. It was a mailing issue at the end of the day. They had proof that they shipped it, and at the end of the day, it is what it is. I've received it.
No,
it is damaged.
Other band's going to do that. No other band's going to do that.
Yeah, the fact that John took that because they had no oranges left. I paid for an orange, and they had no orange
out of his
left.
Personal collection.
He took it out of the archives because he keeps one of each for the archive. He took that out of his own archives to sign it and send it to Bill and Gene to sign it, and then they put a T-shirt with it, and then sent it to Century Media, and Century Media sent it out to me. So, for everybody involved, I want to say thank you to everybody. That made sure I got that, because, I could have just like cut my losses and moved on, but it's one of those things where it's just like, I'm really was hyped for that release, especially the signed version. I'm all happy.
That's a very handsome shirt you're wearing there too, buddy.
Yeah, I got my shirt. Speaking of devil, speaking of Purgatory, yeah. So I'm really happy to get that. It is damaged. It's the seam at the top is split, but I'm gonna frame it anyway, so in the frame it won't notice, so it'd be fine. But yeah, I'm really happy to get that. Everyone seemed to be pretty happy that I finally got it after all this time.
Yeah, District totally nailed the Enter the Realm packages. Everybody was more than pleased with the time and stuff.
I got both my bundles.
District is awesome. Go there now and order something. Make John happy. Yeah. If you don't order it, he'll lose his hair even more.
Oh, no.
Also in news, here's an incentive to get on Facebook. Our buddy Gene Adam is currently in the studio doing the full-length Jacob's Well album. I talked to him today. He said it's going great. So I'm sure he's going to give us little clips and stuff that'll be exclusive to our Facebook. So follow Facebook, because Gene Adams is going to have another CD coming soon. I can't wait for that.
Now, concerning this opening segment, right? Comment down below if you like the whole current news chat at the beginning of episodes, because I think it's quite, especially when we've gone this long, I think it's a pretty good way to open an episode. Like, what's going on right now, what's happening with in the world of Iced Earth, and then we go on to the actual topic of the episode. Comment down below if you like the way we do that, because it's something we've tried out a couple of times. So let us know. If you say it's shit, we'll stop. We won't stop the podcast, of course. We'll just stop doing this current news stuff. But yeah, live in Ancient Kourion, the band's what I want to call the second official, proper, full-on live album, and live video.
The other one a compilation more than anything.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree. Yeah.
Second full live album. We were both lucky enough to see them on this tour.
Yeah.
So that makes this live album even more special to me, because I got to see a good 80% of it live myself. Of course, John always goes balls out for a heavy show when they record. So
yeah,
those people always get the special.
I saw them across the Dystopia tour. I saw them on 3 occasions. I saw them once with Freddie on bass guitar, and then twice with Luke on bass
I was
guitar.
going to ask you that.
Yeah, I saw them at Bloodstock Festival 2012 before Kourion, and then I saw them in December 2012 after Kourion was recorded. And then I think it came out the year after that.
Nice.
Yeah, so
That's cool. It's cool to see both bass versions of that tour.
yeah, obviously the Freddie Fidelis show was my very first Iced Earth show, hence why that lineup is very special to me.
Right.
So that show was just like no show will surpass that in my mind. Like even Iced Earth, even they, I've seen them numerous times since then, obviously, and it's a case of just like nothing will top that first show, because obviously I waited years and years, and it's just amazing. Anyway, yeah, as we just kind of briefly glazed across it, this is the first official release with Luke Appleton on bass guitar. Yes. Which he told us himself was pretty bonkers for a young spud in this band. By the way, we're gonna be recording this live album, so oh my god, there's like 20 songs in the set list. Oh my god, yeah. So, but yeah, Luke's a workhorse, so he nails it on this release. The first live album to feature Stu Block on vocals. I can't praise Stu enough for his outright just unprecedented performance on this. In terms of just taking the Cypress crowd in his hands.
I can't agree more. I think with the timing of this album, it had been a few albums since the Alive in Athens, and I think with Stu on vocals, it was a perfect time to say, this is the new Iced Earth. This is Stu, and Stu went out there and he owned it, and he says, he acted like he had been in there for 20 years. No way do you look back and say that's his first tour. He commanded the stage, just worked the crowd, owned the back catalog like it was his own. It was the perfect time for Iced Earth to reinvent themselves and say, here we are. So perfect timing on that. I'm curious had Dystopia been a Barlow album, would they have still recorded a live album? Was it just time, or did Stu coming in? That's a good question for John next time.
Yeah, I this is just my own kind of theory on it. My whole idea of it was basically the band was rejuvenated. John could see that, and he wanted to capture that. You know what I mean? Like, because we've been saying it, since Dystopia, the band's been on fire, and I think John saw that the band was just like rejuvenated, and I think that tour cycle proved it. They were on complete another level on that tour. So I think it was prime time for, especially off the back of that album. I think it was prime time for a live album. And people forget this is the first official live DVD and Blu-ray.
I was just going to say that it was time for them to do a full on.
Because I remember it being all announced and stuff, and I remember it was originally just a DVD, and John asked the fans, "Blu-ray's the thing at the moment. Is Blu-ray what you would like?" And the fans basically came back with a giant yes and said, "Give us a fucking Blu-ray, hell yes." And so the Blu-ray, the double Blu-rays, the Blu-ray box set wouldn't exist without the fans basically demanding it. So that's cool in itself, that the fans like us had power to kind of determine what formats we would receive for this. And I remember it being announced, all of it, I bought it all, as you probably can see when we get to collections. But yeah, I just remember jumping on that straight away.
I missed the pre-order of that, and it's funny, I'll never forget. I was on vacation with my brother, and we were at a really cool record shop in Tennessee, and this was back when records were still released on Tuesdays. So I was there on a Friday, and Kourion was supposed to come out on Tuesday, so I was like, I'll get that when I get home. And I walked into the shop on that Friday, and for some reason they had it out. So I got it, 4 days early, and I was so excited. I was like, this isn't out yet. So I'll never forget the just utter cheer. I love getting stuff through the mail, but I miss going to a store on release day and being able to find it and, let's open it up and put it in your car immediately. I do miss that. And I was able to do that for this one.
I didn't really have that luxury when I had local music stores to go to before they all shut down. There is no proper entertainment store around my area anymore, which is a shame. But even if they were still around, they wouldn't be stocking Iced Earth because they're too niche. They'll stock the bigger bands like Metallica and Maiden and Slipknot. The usual suspects for metal anyway. So online was mainly my only go-to for Iced Earth for the most part. So pre-ordering it was just like a no-brainer when it was announced. I pre-ordered the Blu-ray, vinyl, and T-shirt bundle. Don't have the T-shirt anymore because I grew out of the T-shirt. And then I bought the separate Blu-ray, the separate DVD quite recently, within the last year or so. I got it really cheap, and I bought the double disc CD on top of the pre-order. So I ordered the bundle and I ordered the CD on top, so it was like in one transaction. But yeah, I jumped on it really quickly.
I only have the DVD version. Have you ever went back to back to compare the quality of that? Can you tell a difference between the Blu-ray and the DVD? Or have you never done that?
I've had no reason to play the DVD. My DVD is still sealed.
Okay.
But even the DVD because you get both with the Blu-ray version, you get both. You get a DVD disc and a Blu-ray disc. But why do I have to? I thought to myself, why am I even going to use the DVD if I've got the Blu-ray? The difference is the DVDs the DVD won't be in HD, whereas the Blu-ray will be. That's all. Yeah.
I was just curious if you could see a huge difference.
Basically, sharper image quality and higher image clarity. That's what you're getting with the Blu-ray.
It looks amazing. I put it on a couple nights ago after we talked, and just still the colors. And if you haven't watched that show, you owe it to yourself to go watch it. Is that not the coolest stadium to see a show?
I think
it just looks amazing.
Yeah, I think
amazing.
They made history as one of the. I think they are the first act to kind of put a show on there. Am I correct in that?
I hate to say that. I thought that didn't I see the Scorpions did one there afterwards? I don't know. I don't know whether they were the first. It was the best. Let's just go on record to say that. And we've had all 5 of the guys on, and they've all mentioned how bloody hot it was that night.
Yeah, and can you imagine the extent of what that kind of production entails? Crew,
right?
Building the stage, getting the sound all right. So much work must have gone into this production that goes beyond our recollection because we just wouldn't know really.
Right.
There's on the Blu-ray and the DVD. There's like a speed up kind of footage of them building the stage, like it's all sped up, and it's crazy, like the amount of work that goes into that and what that could entail, and to do it in a timely fashion to put on the show of this magnitude is crazy. And as a fan, thanks to everyone involved because it's a fucking incredible experience. I wasn't there, obviously. I'm very jealous of all the Cyprus fans, and for the Cyprus fans, I can imagine it being like one of the best nights ever for Cyprus Iced Earth fans. If there are any Cyprus fans that watch our podcast that did go to that show, comment down below. Let us know your experience. That'd be really cool to read. But
we'll definitely mention that on our next podcast.
Yeah, I was saying, it couldn't have been more professionally shot. It's just
amazing.
Shot beautifully, and and they had some pyro. There's some pyro in there. I've not been to an Ice Surf show where they have pyro. Oh, sad.
I've only seen them on the club level, obviously, not the outside, but I know ever since the Great White incident with the fire and stuff, a lot of bands that used to do club pyro don't do it anymore. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, wasn't that to do with like their one of the band members died or something in that fire, right?
Yeah, there was actually they all got off stage, but he went back in to get his guitar and never made it back out.
That's the thing. In a fire emergency, never run. Your life is worth more than your possessions, man.
But yeah, that's the sad thing. It happened in Rhode Island here in the U.S. I think 80-something people passed away. So anyway, that kind of changed the game for pyro. So
that's why entertainment things like WWE doesn't do their pyro in shows anymore. Have you noticed that? Anyway, we're not talking about that, but you get my point. Like indoor pyro is a bad idea, right?
It was bombastic. It was huge. They were as huge as they should be on that night. That's how I see them.
They came across. Obviously, to us, they're the best band in the world, but we're just super biased. But I think this DVD, this live show, kind of, I think it showed the band as a superstar band, as you know, on the same pedestal as Maiden and Metallica. You know, they had the big production, they had the pyro, they had just the fans eating from their hands, man. Like it was great, and 2.5 hours, man, 2.5 hours of just non-stop. And we've got to talk about that set list. What's your thoughts on that set list, Chuck?
Okay, so we're not going to go into the super Wikipedia version, but John, as always, Stu's introduction to live. You had Troy's first live album. Brent was with, he's done both of the live albums, so Brent was there. And like you had mentioned before, Luke. So that's the lineup. Awesome. And let's talk. I'll let you talk about the set list for 1, and I'll do 2.
Okay. So yeah, it opens with the best opener, which is Dystopia. The only thing in my mind that could beat Dystopia as an opening track for a live show would be Enter the Realm into Colours, but I don't see us getting that anytime soon. See, my DVD doesn't split them into disc 1, disc 2. Maybe
I'll just do this. I'll do this.
Maybe on Bluray. On my Bluray does.
It probably doesn't.
No, it doesn't. My bad.
Okay, so we'll kind of talk about the highlights, but disc 1 is the intro into Dystopia, Burning Times, Angels Holocaust, Slave to the Dark, V, When the Night Falls, I Died for You, Invasion, Motivation of Man, Setian Massacre, Storm Rider, Pure Evil, Wolf, Dark City, Dracula, 10,000 Strong. That's just disc 1, people. Anthem, Declaration Day, Days of Rage, Melancholy, Encore Intro, In Sacred Flames, Boiling Point, Damien, Watching Over Me, Dante's Inferno, Iced Earth, and the people weren't done. They wanted more. They want more. John said, "Haven't you heard enough?" Is that what he said? Or
he
what
goes,
haven't you heard?
Yeah, he goes, "Isn't 2.5 hours enough?" And I was like, "No." And he's just like, he goes
and then they played The Hunt.
He's like, "Now one more."
The Hunter. What are your standout tracks for this album, Jason?
I'm gonna see. The only way I can really kind of, because to me this live album was kind of the stage for Stu Block to just show us what he can do for the older stuff. Obviously, I've already seen him live prior to this coming out, but like on a pro shot recorded thing, this really shows Stu like what he can do for the older stuff. I truly think everything and anything that comes from Dark Saga that Stu did was spot on.
Absolutely.
And if they were going to, when they re-record Storm Rider and move past Storm Rider and record more, I think Stu Block would be incredibly strong doing the Dark Saga material. I think he's very well suited for the Dark Saga material. Plus, having it being probably a fan favourite in the live sets, he's probably sung a lot of the Dark Saga stuff anyway before we got to this live album. So I just think anything from Dark Saga, he just nails it. I just think it's great. Anything from the Tim Owens era, he doesn't try to be Tim, which I'm happy for. He puts his own spin on it, and it sounds great. I love it. That's the easiest way I can say about my highlights without picking out particular songs. Just talking about eras and him doing the certain eras. I love how In Sacred Flames goes into Boiling Point. I think it's seamless, and it's quite epic as well. In that kind of build up. I'm disappointed that they played Days of Rage on this live album. They could have picked a better song to play instead of that one. It's the weakest song off of Dystopia. They could have played.
I agree.
They could have played any song than that, and I'd have been happy. Well, I say any song. If they played Divide Devour, I wouldn't be very happy. But if they could have played Come What May instead of Days of Rage, and I'd be very happy. But maybe they just wanted a short and sharp song just to fill a gap in the set or something.
John is always very new album heavy for Iced Earth.
He needs to be.
Which I love that.
Yeah, you need to be.
I don't want a band that the new album so bad you get one song that nobody cares about. Now for me, my highlight and the thing I couldn't wait for is every time a lead singer takes over and they release a live album, I can't wait to hear their interpretation of the old stuff. You think of like Brian Johnson taking over for AC/DC and of course Bruce Dickinson. I couldn't wait to hear Bruce Dickinson on the 666 tour do the Paul Di'Anno stuff. And Stu just absolutely nailed. I remember being on the Dystopia tour and just them going into Burning Times and just after Dystopia and like, oh my God. And then when he did, I forget whether they did 10,000 Strong or Declaration Day first, but just during that song, I was like, there's a sense of we're okay coming over me because I'd done a good job of not cheating and checking out YouTube clips. So when I see it, second row, him going into 10,000 Strong, I'm just like, yes. And he just, the powerfulness of his voice. I mean, of course they owned the current album stuff, but he went through the Barlow stuff and just nailed every. I mean, I will still say that Damien from this album is my favorite version of Damien. I love it. There's a, I can't get enough of it. That's my go-to. That he kind of stole that one from me. That's kind of his song, and he put his own stamp on there. And like I said, he owned the crowd, and he acted like he had been there for 20 years. John looked so happy that night. Everything is just all cylinders, and it was great for this timestamp to be recorded.
Now, you've given me a bit of a. I'm gonna pick out a song that I think he's kind of stole it and made it his own. Put the Stucifer stamp on it. Yeah.
Let's hear it.
I think the one song out of this like huge set list, the one song that if I want to listen to it, I'll listen to this version. You might be surprised. Do you know what it is? Did you want to guess? Did you want to guess what it is?
I think we've talked about. My guess is When the Night Falls.
Close, not that. Okay. But that's increased. He's great on that song. Don't get me wrong. The song that I really enjoy listening to Stu's version, Stu's take on, is Angel's Holocaust. I think he bloody nails Angel's Holocaust. I think he's fantastic on it.
The crowd participation of that too makes it just that much amazing.
Yeah,
he
really nails it. I think it's really good.
And you mentioned before about Stu doing Dark Saga. It could be just as equally for Horror Show too, because I mean he did a great job on Wolf. He did a tremendous job on Damien. I'd love to hear more. I mean, he does a great job of Dracula. To me, that one belongs to Matt. But that's just me.
Yeah.
But I think that Horror Show would be right up there with also Dark Saga as one I'd love to hear Stu do in its entirety.
I'm looking at his set list. Can I just point out some of the songs that just go back to back to back to back, because it's unreal. I'm just gonna be, this one portion screams at me. It's like the middle portion: Storm Rider, Pure Evil, Wolf, Dark City, Dracula, 10,000 Strong. Like that's like one banger after one after another. Just like classic, new one, a great new one, classic. Like I'm just like, fucking hell, this set list, man.
Well, how about the three closers, Dante's and the Iced Earth and the Into the Hunter? Just wow. Tell me a group that has three songs that amazing. And Watching Over Me, Damien. Just, are you kidding me? I mean, you say that, but every four songs is like its own, just, oh my gosh.
Yeah, the set list is unreal. The set list is unreal.
Do you find yourself watching it more or listening to it?
I tend to listen to the audio more than actually watch it, because I can be busy doing stuff and have the audio on rather than taking the time to sit down and watch it. It's easier just to chuck on the audio version and just listen to the audio. The only problem I have with the audio version is obviously where there's pyro, it kind of takes away from it a little bit, because you just get these big bangs like at the beginning of Dystopia. You'll get the big bangs of the pyro in there, and it's a bit distracting. But that's the only critique I have for the audio version.
See, it's so visual and stunning. When I have a version that I keep in my car, but I think the majority of the time I watch it.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Now, Alive in Athens, I listen to it more than I watch it.
Yeah, people. There's people that they must like. It's an awkward grey area, because technically the DVD isn't an official release, because it's released by Century Media of that, but it was not really approved by John. So I've always seen Live in Ancient Kourion as the true first official Iced Earth live album DVD, like live DVD, like video of a show, filmed show. As we're talking about Live in Athens, and we're kind of contrasting and comparing. When it comes to a production standpoint, I know there's caveats, because this was a live video first, and obviously the audio CD came second. So I can understand, because in my mind, Alive in Athens has a better production job and sounds better. But I'm guessing that was because it was made for a CD, like it was a live album first instead of a live video. So they had more time to mix it and master it. Obviously, with this, they have to get do all the video stuff, and then probably took a time away from the whole mix and master and stuff like that. But I generally think Alive in Athens sounds better in a production standpoint. What are your thoughts, Chuck?
That's a tough one. Probably a little bit better production, but that might just be because it's my favorite live album of all time. I think the production on this is amazing. I think it sounds just killer going through your stereo. Vinyl sounds great. The only thing I don't like and this is live vinyls in general. The one thing I hate about live vinyls is some of them are, bless you, some of them are so long that you're almost sometimes just doing two songs and flipping. So when I listen to a lot, I think I listen to the CD version more than I do the vinyl, just because of you just have to flip so much, and sometimes going to 3 discs, that's 6 flips. You know what I'm saying? It's just for me, I'll go to CDs more times
That's first
than
world
six
problems,
flips.
man. First world
And
problems.
I hate DVDs that are 2 different discs for one show. I just hate it. I don't know why.
First world problems.
Right.
You're
So,
you know you're doing all right in life when all you've got to worry about is your fucking DVD split into 2
right.
discs.
Right. Now, we introduced a question to the group that is going to spark a lot of chat. So I say we go into our collections first, and then we'll go into our viewer discussion, and that's going to spark more discussions and stuff I know I want to talk about.
Yeah, we are, just to preface, we are skipping the track by track because you've probably heard our thoughts on all these songs already,
Right.
and plus
There's
it's like 20 songs or more here, and
Well,
we don't want a 2-hour show mainly.
Plus, I want to get to the viewer. We had some great viewer comments
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk about.
Yeah, of course.
So I'll start this off. This is the same set that I got at the record store that day. That was 4 days early. Mine is a 3 disc set. This is the DVD and the double disc, and it's a digipack. And this is the only DVD that I have of this. I know you have different versions, so this is my digipack 3 disc version. No Blu-ray.
I don't have that digipack. I've been meaning to grab it because I've got the audio version on a jewel case.
Nice.
It's just the two audio CDs on that, and obviously you've already seen my DVD. I've already shown it. It's just a regular plastic DVD case. Is that digipack, Chuck? Is that the only way? Is that the only way? Is that how you got it in the US? Is that like that?
That's just what that's what that store had. I have seen the DVD version just by itself and the Blu-ray. I just never got it because I already had it. So
speaking of the Blu-ray, it's a really nice. I think it's like a really nice collector's piece.
that's a great box.
Like it's got.
It's
like a media.
Did that come with a flag or anything?
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
It's got a cool like
Amazing
media,
artwork.
like a media book, and then you have the discs in there.
So that actually has the CD as well.
Oh yeah, it has. It has the
Okay.
Blu-ray, the DVD, and both audio CDs as well. So you're getting the proper thing. It's got some really cool, just like really
Pictures,
cool like
yeah.
making of photos and stuff. Set pictures. And
I need
location.
to add that to my collection.
It's a really nice, some really cool shots as well. It's worth getting. I don't know what kind of prices it goes for because I've never really looked for it since.
I think the last time I seen it was in the 29 to 39 range.
Is that?
Yeah, I like that.
Is that in frame?
Yep.
Cool. It's a really awesome photo. The media book, if you fold it out, you get the whole kind of artwork there. It's pretty cool.
Set.
Definitely worth getting if you haven't got it. I recommend it. Looks sharp and clean. The Blu-ray version does. Highly recommended.
Here's my Jewel double CD version. This is my favorite. I was able to get it signed last year by all 5, which is awesome. So that's the one I usually listen to.
I do have a question.
Yes.
How do you feel about them having the logo going vertical on the album cover?
It doesn't bother me at all. It's both.
I find it kind of jarring. I kind of would rather
Really?
have it just going horizontal. Yeah, I don't know. I've never liked logos that are meant to be horizontal going vertical. I don't know. I just never really.
I guess I've never thought about it, to be honest. I love this album artwork, so it better not start bothering me, Jason, because then I'll blame you.
Blame me all you want, Chuck. But at the end of the day, it's your fault if you feel different about it.
Right.
So I can't control your feelings.
I don't. I love that. I love that album artwork. Here is the vinyl. I have the straight black, and it's a 3-disc version. I think, is yours blue?
Yeah, it's like kind of like a night blue.
Just a beautiful fold out with some great pictures. I had Troy sign mine last year. That is so beautiful. I need that. I don't need that. I need that though. I don't need that, Jason.
I thought you was purging some of your collection, Chuck.
I don't need it. I want it though. It's beautiful. That's a nice. Is that it for your Kourion?
I do have a second copy in black, but I just didn't feel it was necessary to get it out.
Okay. Nice. So
that
my question
quickly.
Go ahead.
That black. The black copy I've got is I'm willing to trade or sell that if anyone's interested.
Nice. They don't show up a whole lot on eBay at all. I remember I had to hunt mine down on Discogs for months before I got a deal I was happy with. And the blue and the clear are very hard to get under $80, to be honest.
So
that's why I had to sell.
So I pre-ordered wisely then, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I had to settle for black. So, but my question to the group, our Facebook exclusive group. So if you're watching this and you aren't a member of our Facebook group, become one. Was how important are live albums to a band's discography, and what's your thoughts on live albums? So, some great comments. Let's get into them. You look like you got something to say first.
I thought you was generally asking for my opinion first. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll butt in as we go. Adam Ortiz was the first one to chime in. I think live albums are incredibly important. Yes, studio albums are forever, but live performances are not. I love this album and the selection of songs. My only complaint being the pyro cannons being kind of annoying in my opinion. The live DVD is really awesome and the bonus features on it so cool. I would love another live album DVD from iStar soon. I agree totally. The pyro doesn't bother me, but I grew up watching Kiss videos, so that's just part of the show. John Baylor says, amazing seeing Stu Block singing older songs live. How fresh they sound now. I can't wait to hear the re-recordings. Spot on, John. I agree totally. Tony Diaz says, I love live albums. And after we read these, I want to kind of talk about some different things with live albums. Lou Sass, my buddy, big vinyl collector, says not important at all unless it's of the quality that Athens is sound and performance-wise. I rarely listen to or watch Kourion. The crowd pandering ruins it for me every single time. I for sure definitely prefer DVD to live album, though, with Athens being the one exception. So I've heard some people talk about that. To me, he's in the moment, and I it doesn't bother me. Does that bother you?
We're going back to comparing Athens again. Really, it's to me, it's a case of like it's a case of like if you feel you have to as a singer, you've got to chant the riff to get the crowd to chant it. Yeah, cool. It's cool that you can control the crowd like that. That's cool, but like, isn't it cooler for the crowd just to do it organically? Because in Athens, they just did it organically without Matt having to do anything. The riff will start and they'll just do it. They'll just chant the riff. Like, there was no pandering on the live in Athens, and I think that's what makes it special. Is because the fans are just so rabid and they're in their element, you know.
Right.
And that's what makes Alive in Athens that a bit, a stronger release in my opinion compared to
Well,
Kourion.
we can go all day comparing Athens to oranges. That was
Yeah.
funny. Okay. Jason Ashcraft, Alive in Athens is responsible for me going on my metal path. So live albums can be very important. Alive in Athens was my very first experience not only to Iced Earth but to metal other than Metallica or what's on the radio. And here I am today. So that's cool to actually see that.
Speaking, I was going to chime in for what you just said. Speaking of
Absolutely.
the fact that he said that Alive in Athens kind of took him onto his metal journey. I have an example of my first introduction to Iron Maiden was their Rock in Rio live album, and then I was hooked on Maiden. So that do you remember when we were talking about how would you introduce Iced Earth to somebody? You would go, oh yeah, I'll have like a mix CD I'd give out. I probably would just recommend someone to pick up Athens for their first thing. Like, it has a great set list, the quality's top notch. So for people wanting to discover a band, sometimes live albums are a really good starting point.
True.
That's what I think.
Jamie Evans says Alive in Athens. It's funny, a lot of Alive in Athens talk.
No one's talking
Alive in
about
Athens. It's coming was basically what made me a metalhead. Obviously, I'd been listening to some other than Alive in Athens was the first album I bought, and after that, I was just set. That's another Iced Earth pun. Remy Davignon is what I'm going to go with. For my live album DVD is fucking important because you can hear the human fact in its entirety. Live in Kourion has some of the best songs ever of the Iced Earth discography. But for me, some songs like Days of Rage could be replaced.
I
It could
agree.
be perfect if the Gettysburg was on it, and maybe one or two songs from Crucible and Burnt Offerings. So, nice. David Barry says, Kourion is incredibly important to me in regards to my opinion of Stu as the latest singer. I'll admit I went into Dystopia very cynical. I was mad about another vocalist replacement, as a lot of us were. Nothing wrong with saying that.
Yeah.
So I sneered at the project and initially didn't like the album until Kourion. And by the God, Stu made me a believer. He sang the hell out of those songs, made me re-listen to Dystopia with fresh ears. The live project is what really made me adore him in the band. It's what made me find into Eternity work as well. And you have done that. I've still yet to do that. Same effect that got me into Immortal by Pyramid's Ashes of Ares, We Are Sentinels, due to Barlow being a metal god. So this is a perfect example. I mean, I asked how important it is. This live album, and I'll show you another example, the Rock in Rio from Maiden on their Brave New World songs, or Brave New World tour, the songs from the Blaze era, by listening to them and how powerful they were on that album, that made me go back and re-listen to X Factor and the Virtual. So live albums can make you sometimes go back to the albums and saying, I need to revisit that. So we're hearing some very cool different things.
Can I bring up something I find very important?
Please do.
I don't know if this is fact or not, but in my opinion, a band lives or dies by their live show. A band that doesn't tour doesn't get very far, in my opinion. You need to be out there on the road performing in front of people to get any kind of success as a musician or a band. there's only a small percentage of bands that I can think of that don't do any touring that have been successful.
Right.
And I think,
And it's used.
and I think a live
They've
album,
usually toured in the past.
I think a live album or a live DVD, whatever the way you want to slice it, I think it's a way of like, you know, you haven't seen us live yet. This is what you can expect. Maybe you want to come and see us next time. Like it's a statement of their live show of what people that have not been had a chance to see a certain band live. This is like a way of like, this is what you're missing. You better come and see us next time, kind of thing. You know, there's many factors.
Well,
There's a lot of factors in it.
Right.
I think.
Dominique Blum says, I think live albums need to be done when the band is fit and with as little as possible post-production in the studio. Annihilator's live DVD, Masters of Rock, was cool, but a little bit too much studio work. As a fan, I really love it when my favorite band releases a live CD, but it needs to be really special and has to capture the vibes of the entire show. I really love Alive in Athens because it has all of it captured. The guys in the crowd are going totally nuts, and it's just a hell of a night and the best set list ever. Okay, the band isn't playing perfect, but nearly perfect, and it's totally okay. Another great live album is Iron Maiden's Rock in Rio. I don't know how much post-production was done in the studio, but the crowd and the set list is really overwhelming. I once listened to... Wow, this is a long one. I once listened to it with my CD player in my pocket, and that's your one. And the earbuds were somehow broken, so I only heard a kind of mono signal. Anyway, he likes live albums. He also mentions Kiss Alive, and that's a huge live album.
Can I bring up something? He mentions he doesn't like it when they add too much post production on a live album. Well,
right.
Alive in Athens they spent a lot of time in post production to make that sound good. John even says it. So I suppose Alive in Athens is the best of both of those things. It captures the raw performance of the band and the rabid crowd, but also they've done post production to make it kind of come together and be a really good piece of recording.
They did a good job to make it sound like they didn't overproduce it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay. Andy Morgan says live albums are amazing. One of the things I think is really special about metal is that it's one of the few realms in which the live album is still in vogue. Mainstream rock and pop acts, especially hip ones, won't be caught dead doing a live album. That's kind of true. That it's more of a metal thing than it is anything. I mean, you don't see...
I've never thought about that, actually, to be honest with you. That's new to me.
NX,
interesting.
You know, that's a great point. Somehow seems stigmatized as an indulgent or silly, probably largely due to the proliferation of 70s double live albums. But metal bands hold their community dear and know their fans still cherish live albums. Those experiences and moments frozen in time for repeated listening. A snapshot of a band truly in a moment, not a studio creation over the course of months. And let's face it, if they can't cut it live, they suck. Live albums are a badge of honor.
I'm going to add to that. You know, what do you say about capturing the band in their prime? Did you say that?
That was a previous one.
Fuck. I was trying to keep up with what you're...
Go ahead.
But I keep thinking of these really cool things about live albums that I didn't think of prior, and they just pop in my head. Live albums capture eras of the past that are no longer...
Right.
Live in Athens. I wasn't a fan in 1999. I didn't discover Live in Athens until 2003. But it took me back to a period of the band that I had never got to see. Do you know what I mean? And that's another great thing about it, you know. That's why people talk about Live Aid 86 with Queen and whatnot. You know, that's a period in time that that they've recorded.
Wasn't Priest on that as well?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I could be
And I
wrong
like
with
this
that
part.
completely.
They said, I remember purchasing the CD and immediately skipping to I Died for You, thinking, all right, if he gets it, then I trust him. Needless to say, he killed it, and the album and accompanying DVD are spectacular. Aaron Philpott, live albums are often my go-to albums for bands, as mine are sometimes as well.
Interesting.
Kiss Alive, Alive 2, Alive 3, Slayer, Live Undead, Decade of Aggression, Judas Priest, Unleashed in the East. He's listing some of the greatest metal albums ever. Dang it, I just lost it. Hold on.
Can I quickly tell you one of my favorite live albums ever?
Please do while I get back to our page.
Well, Alive in Athens is my favorite of all time. But I want to
Mine
give
too.
I want to give a nod to Disaster Pieces by Slipknot. That live album, well, it's a live DVD. That live DVD it's the band at their peak, and it still is just a monster of a live DVD. And it's like 2002, London Arena, and it's just great. It's that kind of like time when the band weren't so mainstream. They were big, but they weren't huge. But they still had that just uncompromising aggression in their music, and that's the thing. That's what I mean by eras. Like you love a band, but you're like, oh man, I bet when they played live back in this time, it was different. And Disaster Pieces by Slipknot kind of shows that, and that's one of my favourites when it comes to live albums.
Nice.
Live in
And he goes
Athens
on
is still
to-
king.
He goes on to mention Metallica Binge and Purge, which is has one of my favorite DVDs ever, Seattle '89 from the Injustice for All tour. Love that. In many cases, my favorite versions of songs are found on a live record, which is very true as well. I prefer the live version of Iced Earth usually. It's just so much more intense. Kourion is the album where I decided that Stu Block was okay by me. However, one thing isn't okay, and that is the sound of those stupid gas cans. No aerosol spray should ever be louder than a rock and roll band.
He's talking
What does that
about
mean?
he's talking about the pyro cannons.
Oh. That's again, Aaron, we have talked many times. How can you be a huge Kiss fan and have a problem with pyro? I don't get it. That's like saying King Diamond, I like him, but why does he wear makeup? I don't like makeup. Oh yeah, I also love Kiss. I don't know. It just seems funny to me. Okay, we're almost done here.
I hate corpse paint, but I'm a huge black metal fan.
Right. Dustin Heiser says, I love live albums. A band with a good sounding live album with a solid set list gets a lot of rotation from me. Andrew Edwards says, live albums are great. They really capture the band at a point in time. And with every subsequent live album afterwards, you can really see how a band has improved, developed. That's a good point. Plus, they're great to recommend to a newcomer, as they're more or less a best of when it comes to a song selection.
That's what I said.
That's what we talked about also.
Yeah.
3 more. Brian Blake says, the only live album I really like is Alive in Athens. I never buy live albums, only if they come with a DVD Blu-ray. I'd rather watch them instead of listen. It's not the same for me unless I watch it. Fair enough. I mean, and everybody's got their own. Some people love that, good quality studio production.
Like, I mentioned that, I usually listen to Kourion in particular. That's just out of just convenience. I'd rather watch it, but that's time out of my day when I've got stuff to do, And I'd rather, get my speaker, put on the audio version, have it in the room, whatever I'm doing, and get on with what I've got to do, kind of thing, rather than having to sit there and watch it, kind of thing. That's the only thing that It's more of a convenience thing for me, rather than
Fair enough.
a preferred method.
Steve Duvall says, I love live albums. Live shows are part of the rock and heavy metal experience. Hearing and seeing your favorite bands play live. As for Ancient Kourion, I go back and forth on this one. I love the presentation and concert, the historic theater, and a massive set list. I just wish Stu would sing more of the songs in his natural voice rather than trying to make his voice sound lower.
Now,
I'm not sure if he was instructed to sing in this manner when he joined the band, or if it was a way of performing them closer to the way they were written and originally performed, but it comes to as being forced or fake sounding at times. That leads to the common criticism that he's just doing his best Matt Barlow impression when he's got a fantastic voice of his own. Other than that, I enjoy the release, and I'm glad that we have a proper DVD. Now, your thoughts.
Now,
This is one of the ones that I thought we would definitely talk about.
It's going to bring contention because, like, going back to our dystopia discussion, two songs where I feel he really sings in his natural voice on that album, which is Anguish of Youth and End of Innocence, right? He generally sounds like it's him. Obviously he's put on this kind of like lower, like you said, this lower kind of baritone voice. I think, I agree. I think it sounds a bit forced on Kourion, but by the time you get to Incorruptible, can't talk. But by the time you get to Incorruptible, he's developed it into his own style, and it works. So, I think Kourion was that in between where he's kind of figuring it out and making it his own kind of style. Do you know what I mean? That's my theory. But I don't know. What's your take on that, John?
Well, here's my thoughts. Like, I never listen to Kourion and say, "Oh, he's trying to do Barlow there." When you have certain songs, like The Hunter, I don't hear a Barlow, ish type. When he does more of the songs that are soft, like Watching Over Me and Melancholy, I think when he hits, it's so soft and melodic that just because he's singing it, I don't think he's imitating Barlow. I just think it sounds similar because they're in the same range. Does that make sense? And I doubt at all John said try to sound like Matt. I 100% doubt that, because Stu is standout awesome. But I think certain songs, the comparison are closer because they're in that same zone.
Let me use this example, right? When I'm singing along to Iced Earth songs, right? For example, Anthem, right?
Okay.
So I could sing it like a single mother. She has strained, she has suffered, and she suffers. Yeah, but I don't. I sing out this: a single mother, she is strained, and she suffers. I try to be Stu. I try to really force that. Do you understand what I mean? I don't use my really kind of nasally through my nose voice, which everyone can hear right now, and it's horrible. Do you know? Do you get that? Do you get what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm not saying he does try to be Matt. I wouldn't want him to be Matt. Matt is Matt, and Matt will always be Matt, and I love Matt, and Matt is awesome. But I do feel that there was a period that kind of what's the fucking word? Shit, what's the phrase? There was that. I suppose you can call it like a birthing period where he's trying to find his feet and find his voice for the band. I think that's what you can kind of hear in Kourion. That's my opinion. Like, I think, like, he sounds quite natural on Dystopia. It sounds like him. He's trying to find this more kind of lower, kind of mid-tone, baritone voice maybe with guidance from John to find a certain voice. You hear it a lot in Plagues, and then by the time you get to Incorruptible, he sounds like he's naturally progressed, developed this kind of baritone. That's what I think, anyway.
But I just think that any band, when you do an early song, that there's going to be comparisons. You can, I mean, it's not an Iced Earth thing. It's Maiden. It's AC/DC. Any band that's had multiple singers, to me, I don't hear it. I think he does an outstanding job. So I knew that would spark some talk. And our last one is Josie Smith, and I wanted to first thank her for the awesome Demons and Wizards pictures that she put on our Facebook page. So thank you for those pictures. I love live albums and live shows, provided that it's good quality. Kourion is awesome. So that was our awesome community outspeak, and I appreciate that. Now, with live albums, I want to go to a band that often gets compared, that we kind of always bring up, Maiden. Live albums. Do they do too many, or do you think they're just right on because they sell? Does it take the specialness away because there's so many, or would you rather them be more spaced out?
Do I expect a band to bring out a live album every tour cycle? No. But are there eras of a band I wish we could have seen captured? Yes. And that's the kind of line. It's like, well, if they released a live album and captured a live show from every album cycle, would get that. Oh, here's what they sound like live on this. This is what. Oh, here's what Iced Earth sound like in 1990 with Gene. Oh, great, awesome. Professionally recorded. Oh, that's awesome. We got that. Oh, here's John Greeley with the Stormrider lineup. Oh, great. We can hear what that sounds like, professionally recorded. Burnt Offerings, and so on and so on. But as much as I wonder what that era was sounded like live. Like you said, as much as I want to hear that, people will probably be like, another live album, can't you just put that time into a new studio album? Do you know what I mean? That's what I think.
Is some of the thinking on that, because there's a huge diehard bootleg community. Me and you both bought the same Incorruptible double disc live bootleg,
and it's not very good.
It's listenable quality. If I was selling it, I would say it's listenable for hardcore fans.
Trade, don't sell.
Would you agree? So I think with them being a little bigger, are they taking that and giving the fans the option to say, hey, if you would buy a $20 double CD that sounds like shit, why don't you buy our $15.99 version, and it's going to be perfect quality? But now, see, I don't purchase them all because different ones are more special to me. But I like the option being there. To me, I'm never like, oh man, Maiden's putting out another live album. That's bad.
See,
I either say I'm going. I like the option.
There's certain things, right? It depends on the band. It depends on what you want from the band, really. Everyone's gonna have a different answer, correct? Right? So, let's go to Metallica, for instance. If Metallica, I know they tend to record a lot of their live shows anyway, right? Every one of them
you could buy a couple days later, either through streaming or a physical copy.
See that, for example. So you've kind of maybe okay, so they record every live show. If they can, this is where I get kind of mixed up, and what I want from the band is different per band, yeah? So, okay, I'd rather them not record every live show and put bass guitar into fucking Injustice for All for once? Thanks very much. Why can't they fucking, like, if they're going to put the effort in to record those live shows, why can't they put the effort into add the bass guitar to Injustice for All, which has been missing for like 30 years? See what I mean?
And Justice for Jason.
Exactly. Not me, Newstead. But it will be justice for me because I'll be able to listen to it with the bass. Anyway, that's my point, where I think it depends on the band, where the band is in their career, what you expect from the band. And there's things like Metallica.
What realistically sells too.
Yeah, of course, but when you get as big as Metallica, I suppose it's always going to be the diehards that will just eat everything up. Like, we're called man, the more I think about it, the more our opening statement is becoming less and less true. We're talking about Metallica on an Iced Earth fucking podcast.
We're talking, we delved into live albums and the importance.
Yeah.
So carry on.
Yeah. So, like, I've lost my train of thought now. Shit.
You're talking about Metallica.
Yeah, I know, but I forgot where I was going with it.
Anyway, I think live albums are important, and I love that person brought to my eyes that it's more of a metal thing than anything else. I know there's more rock bands.
I remember.
Go ahead.
I remember my point.
Okay, go ahead.
So like live albums, yeah. So right, you said about are they lucrative enough to even bother making them? Like, using Metallica as example, when you get as big as Metallica, they're going to make bank no matter what they put out there. It's going to sell. It's their Metallica. Those box sets you were talking about, we were off air, we were talking about those box sets. They've probably
Yes.
sold loads of them.
I think they made 30,000 each.
Easy. So, yeah, I think when we're talking about like the reliability that a live album will sell, depends on the band and depends on what their fan base wants and depends on how big they are.
Right.
Because it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter.
And some bands are just better live. Some bands, like Aaron mentioned, Kiss and Maiden and Iced Earth and Priest have these iconic albums that are live albums. But some bands have done it that just it went nowhere. I mean, I'm a big Motley Crue fan. They released a live album, and you never hear it. I mean, it's garbage. It doesn't sound good. No one ever mentions it. No one ever talks about it. So some bands try the live album, and it just doesn't work. Some bands sometimes it just hits the right time. I think it's more of a metal thing.
Also, it's budget as well, right? Going back to Metallica again, like I know we're comparing the live scene to these, but who else to compare to than the big bands that are doing it, really? But like Symphony and Metallica, that must have cost them a lot of money to put together, and now they're doing a second one because they know that it'll sell. They know it'll sell because the first one is regarded.
I like the first one.
Oh, it's great. It's great, really good. I love the idea.
I love the fact that they did 2 new songs for it. I think they did 2 great news. They weren't average filler songs. They were 2 new songs they introduced to their catalog that makes that album very special for that reason as well. It makes it a must-buy album. And a lot of bands used to, and I hope I didn't cut you off, would sometimes add like 1 or 2 studio tracks at the end of a live album, just and greatest hits sometimes, just to spark it, saying, oh, I got all these songs already. Well, here's one thing extra for you, or here's the soundtrack that we recorded. I like that as well.
I just, it's nice to hear, like, especially with Metallica anyway. This is kind of a joke answer, but I'm being honest. With when you get when we get like a live treatment of Metallica and they play St. Anger songs, it's nice to hear those songs with a proper snare drum. But it is. I'm sorry.
It is. It is. I can't wait to see what they do in a few years when they remaster it. So anyway, this has been a really cool episode, and I like Kourion a lot. It's an awesome DVD. Stu came in and said, "I am Iced Earth. This is my band. I am the front man," and he nailed it. And he hasn't looked back.
Yep, it came out 6 years ago, April 2013, if I'm correct. I might be incorrect, but it was early 2013 when it released. It's been like 6 years. Are we due another one, or it doesn't really matter?
I don't think we're going to see one for a while. I remember that was one of the first questions I asked Stu at the meet and greet in Incorruptible. I was like, we're two album cycles since the last album. I said, are you guys thinking about doing a live album off this tour? And he says, nah, too soon. So, I mean, obviously Demons is at the forefront right now. And then maybe Storm Rider. So maybe our next one is Storm Rider live.
I'd take that.
I don't see them re-recording I know this is just me guessing. I don't see them re-recording Storm Rider, and then he did mention that he could see re-touring off of that album when they did it and playing songs off of it. I couldn't imagine them doing that and then recording a live album off of that tour. That's just my thought. I think we're going to get, with the age of the band and his commitment to Demons and Wizard, I think we're going to get one more live album is what I think.
Now, speaking of live albums and Demons and Wizards, I can't help but notice, because I've not really heard people speak about this, right? But I looked at the North American flyer for the basically them hyping the North American tour, right? And it says Demons and Wizards first and only North American tour. So that tells me the band don't plan to come back after this run. This is the band's last run.
It's kind of throwing it out there that you might not see us again for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would like to think we're gonna get a live video release from this.
I think it's coming.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it might be after the release of the album next year, but I think it's coming. Yeah. Demons and Wizards is too special, and it only plays so much. They need to capture that for everybody that's a fan to get that live experience.
I think it's necessary. The reissues, the new album, the live album, that's that chapter done. That's it. See you later. I think it'd be a great end to that band. New album,
and then give us Storm Rider.
Hansi goes back to Blind Guardian. John comes back to Iced Earth. Not the Storm Rider.
And we're going to wrap up here soon. But could you see after the whole summer tour, could you see Iced Earth going into studios, maybe end of the year and doing Storm Rider?
What? This year, in between the Demons.
Because you think the songs are already written, and I think we heard that they did the Purgatory EP in less than a week. So why couldn't they take 3 weeks in December or something and do that? If the album's done.
You're thinking. I like your thinking, because Iced Earth has been very consistent with their they keep giving us stuff. Purgatory, Enter the Realm, Demons and John's been giving us stuff. Every other month we've got something new. Demons and Wizards remasters. What's next? Maybe
Athens is supposed to come in 2 months.
Crucible and Glorious and Framing reissues, right? And they
maybe Athens, and then he didn't give us a date. Athens was this year. So Athens is going to be about 2 months after the Demons issues slow down. I don't know. I would just like to see them take a couple weeks and not. I know that the Demons is important, but take 2 or 3 weeks in the next 6 months, record that, and put that out in 2020 is what I'd like to see. That way we get some. Corruptible was 2017.
Yes.
So I mean, 3 years. That's
Like May.
yeah. So I would like to see that.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I
Anyway,
think
I'm just spitballing here. I know it's easy for me to say. It's not like he has to go write it. They go in, they did, hammer it out.
Mm.
They did Purgatory in 8 days. I give them 9. They could do it.
and though and those were songs they hadn't played in 30 years as well.
Right.
So
Right.
so
And you got a couple instrumental. Or not an instrumentals, but 2 of those songs are really short in there.
reaching
And
the
they
end.
did mention that there might be a special one with Greeley too. So I hope that's still the case.
I just want it to be Mystical End. I want Greeley to come back for the re-recording of Mystical End because that's my favourite Greeley song. Please, John, let it happen. Please.
So this has been I think I've said my piece with live
Mystical
albums.
End.
I'd love to hear
Mystical
Mystical
End.
End.
Oh man, fucking love that song.
I also want
I
to.
love it so much.
I also want to hear
Everything.
everything. I just want to hear them do the self-titled through Crucible. Let's do
Was everything. everything.
everything.
Everything before the Stu era, basically. Yeah, I don't think I've thought about that before we close up. I thought about the likelihood of John really going and doing everything. I don't see it with the
No, I
demon.
think it's just going to be one song special with Greeley.
No, I mean like you're talking about the re-recording the whole catalog before Stu came into the band. I don't see it being likely because that's a lot of time and work.
Oh, I know. I think we're realistically looking at the first 4. I don't see them hitting something or horror show. And I'd be surprised if they did the first 4.
I would say
Just time-wise.
I would say first 3 because
And I'm not even sure I want them to. Because, I mean, let's say in 2 years, Demons is done, Storm Rider's done. Do you really want them to go back into the thing and do Burnt Offerings? Or do you want, I mean, in a year and a half, we're going to be dying for some new material.
that is true. You have a point.
So,
Yes.
I mean, I guess I look at their age, John, and I know he's got a plan. I'm sure he's got an exact year where he's like, that's it, no more. And I don't see with Demons, and I don't think this is going to be the last Demons. So with 2 Demons records in there and Storm Rider, I just don't see. I don't want the end of Iced Earth to be their first 4 albums. I want another. My guess as of right now, 2019, is we're going to see 2 more Iced Earth studio albums. That's my guess. That's it. I think we're going to get 2, maybe 2 re-recordings and a live album. That's my guess. In 15 years, I'll come back and look at this date and see how far off I was. And I'm by no means saying that John's getting too old to do this. I'm just saying with the proper touring schedule, and I mean these things, as easy as we want them to come out, this is a huge venture, both financially, production, everything. This stuff doesn't happen overnight. I know he works 16-hour days. He doesn't want to be killing himself in 12 years to do this.
The main fact as well, time cannot be restocked. Time is not infinite,
So, but we'll see. I hope I'm wrong, but 2 is the number I'm looking at.
When you said that and I thought about it, I'm genuinely feeling sadness right now because I can't imagine like the day that John Shaver says like Ice Stuff is done. That will.
But
I might cry at that day. That day.
Take comfort in the fact that he said other things are going to happen when he's done musically. Remember, he said that's when the books and stuff will start coming. He's got stories and stuff. So just because he doesn't want to tour and go out there and headbang at age 65 doesn't mean he's not going to issue some cool stuff.
I tell you this, right? Wherever, I don't care where it is, wherever Iced Earth's very last show will be, I'm making sure I'm going to be there for their very last show ever. I need to be at the last ever show. Whenever he goes, right, this is the Iced Earth is ending at this time. This here is our last ever show. I'm booking tickets and I'm going because I need to be there for the end. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I need get ready to practice your Greece because I think that's where you're going to be at. I don't know.
I couldn't think of a better place for the fandom for the band to end. The fandom's rabid.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh, shut up. Well, I think we should take this home, mate. We should wrap this up a little bit.
Wrap it up. Hey, this was great being back. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook. Don't forget to check us out on Patreon. A couple dollars here or there sounds great to help us out. Keep this train rolling. More episodes coming. We're going to do a better job. Jason, take us home.
You know how you said, when we start recording, it'll be an hour. It has not. Wait.
90 minutes?
Yeah, it's been over an hour. When did we start?
That's okay.
We started like 10:30.
I don't know.
10:30, it's like 12:10. My time, obviously. I'll cut this out. Anyway,
Leave it.
Okay. I've been Jason. I've been joined, as always, by the incomparable Chuck Hoskins. This has been part Live Nation Kourion retrospect and part discussion on live albums. It's a nice little deviation. I've enjoyed it, man.
Me too, buddy.
Comment down below your thoughts on live albums and your thoughts on Kourion itself, the live album by Iced Earth. Yeah.
I'd also like to hear what people's favorite non-Iced live album is.
That'd be cool as well. We've been Podcasting Stone, and we are back.
Yes.
Punch that subscribe button to stay notified on everything Podcasting Stone and everything Iced Earth related. Hit subscribe.
Hit subscribe because you don't want to miss anything.
Give us a
we're
like.
back like a vertebrae. We're back like scoliosis.
I was going to say. Anyway, Chuck, we need to end it. You keep extending. We need to end this episode. Right. We're back. We're ready to do. Tomorrow we are recording Days of Purgatory. So look out for this episode soon and look out for that episode soon as well. Thank you for watching, guys. Punch that like button. Hit subscribe. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Check out our Patreon. And we'll see you next time. Stay metal because metal lives, my friends. See you later.